years ago today, Trippie Redd would drop Tripper Night, with this album having a massive impact on the underground rap scene over the past couple of years, with this album being considered one of the best Trippie Redd albums by many fans from him. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the album rollout, the history, and just how much this album has influenced the underground rap scene over the past 4 years since it has dropped. But going into the actual album rollout, Trippie Redd would first preview the first song or first snippet for this album with Mr. Rage on December 21st, 2020. When Trippie first previewed this, I was like, this is fucking crazy. Because it was a completely new, different sound from what Trippie Redd has done before, or what any rap at the time has done before, because it was a rage sound that no one has done. And that's why I feel like Trippie Redd was a heavy influence on the underground rap scene, because he started with rage first. He made that rage sound. Although Cardi did drop a whole rage album, Mr. Rage was previewed before Cardi dropped Whole Lotta Red, which I feel like Trippie Redd doesn't get the love and respect he deserves for influencing the rage sound, the underground rap scene, which my boy AmChann will talk about much later in this video, so you guys can wait for that. But then Cardi would obviously drop Whole Lotta Red on December 25th, 2020, just 4 days later after Trippie Redd previewing Mr. Rage. And obviously Whole Lotta Red would have a massive rage influence, with Cardi influencing the underground for the past 4 or 5 years since it has dropped, which I believe Trippie Redd has influenced a lot as well, or helped Cardi. But then everyone was spamming Trippie to put Cardi on this song, and honestly I don't blame them, because Cardi would have been the perfect fit on this song. Everyone wanted Cardi, and then Trippie Redd would obviously listen to the fans, and he would drop Mr. Rage featuring Playboy Cardi on May 7th, 2021, which is crazy because this song is so hard. That beat drop, the music video, Cardi's verse, all in one, it's just so perfect. And this song would go crazy as well, because this song would spend 11 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 with a peak of number 11, which would be the highest Trippie Redd song of him as the main artist. It would be his highest peak on the Billboard Hot 100, which was crazy. I wish it went number 1 or at least top 10, but 11 is still crazy. Then Trippie Redd would drop the second single for Tripper Night on July 16th, which was Holy Smokes featuring Lil Uzi Vert. Cardi on the first single, then Uzi on the second single for this album. That was crazy back then. But Holy Smokes featuring Lil Uzi Vert would spend 3 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 with a high peak of 50, which was, still pretty good back then for Trippie Redd. And having Uzi on Tripper Night was amazing, considering he had a crazy year before with EA and the EA Deluxe and the collab tape with Future, and having Uzi on your album the year after would be crazy, and just do good numbers wise, and have the fans collide, and just everything be good about it, you know what I'm saying? Also, a fun fact for you guys, this album was actually meant to be called Life's a Trip 2, but obviously Trippie Redd changed it to Tripper Night, which honestly I feel is better, and is pretty much a second version of Life's a Trip, if you get what I'm trying to say. But then on August 11th, Trippie Redd, Big 4 to himself, would announce the track list, with him literally getting the Avengers on this actual album. This track list was so hard and so perfect and so good. He had features like Drake, Uzi, Cardi, Ski Marks, Juice WRLD, XXXTentacion, Polo G, and many more features. This features stack list is so stacked and so good and so hard, and I feel we didn't really appreciate it that much at the time. Although I did, but I feel I could have appreciated it more, because it was just crazy. Guys, seriously, Trippie Redd really got Juice, Cardi, Uzi, and XXXTentacion on the same album, which I believe they are the best SoundCloud rappers from that era, from that time period. I believe those 4 are the best rappers from the SoundCloud era, and to have all those rappers on the same album is just so amazing. And I wish I got a vinyl for this album of Tripper Night, because it would have been so hard and so perfect. But then Tripper Night would drop on August 20th, 2021, which would actually be my birthday. So yeah, thank you Trippie Redd for dropping this album on my birthday. I appreciate it. That shit was so hard listening to on my birthday, But Tripper Night would sell 81,000 sales first week with a number 2 debut, which was so good and so hard back then, especially for Trippie Redd, because just the year before with Pegasus, many people hated on him. Everyone was saying, oh, Trippie Redd is washed, he fell off, he's never gonna come back and stuff, which I was Pegasus isn't that bad. Same with Neon Shark. People were hating on Neon Shark. I loved Pegasus and Neon Shark. I don't know what's wrong with them. I love them both. But obviously Tripper Night is a classic and top 3 or top 5 Trippie Redd albums. But yeah, Tripper Night is for sure a top 5 Trippie Redd album for me, and honestly it might be my favorite album from 2021. I'm not too sure though. I'll have to go back and see what other albums dropped in that time period, because I low-key forgot. But yeah, Tripper Night has no misses, and some of my favorite songs on this album would be Molly Hearts, MP5, Finish Line, Vibes, New Money, and obviously Mr. Rage, a classic song. Such a classic song, and this this album is a classic. And as I was talking about earlier with Pegasus and Neon Shark about the hate Trippie Redd was getting, I just want to say I love how people always switch up on Trippie Redd, because just 5 months before when Pegasus dropped, like I said, most people hated it. They said Trippie was washed, he fell off, blah blah blah. And then like 5 months later when he previewed Mr. Rage, everyone was on him again and started loving him again and started saying he's back, he's having a comeback, Trippie Redd is him. I didn't get that because, you know, I've been a fan of Trippie Redd since like 2018, 2019, and you know, Trippie Redd is my second favorite rapper. I'm never gonna, you know, hate on him. Even if I dislike an album, I'm not gonna say, you know, he's washed or he fell off, because, you know, you don't just say that shit about your favorite rappers. And I feel like this is a big pattern with Trippie Redd. He drops a classic album and then, you know, like a year later people start hating on him, and then he drops another classic album and people start hating on him. And I feel like, you know, the past like 2-3 years people are like hating on Trippie Redd, saying he fell off, he's washed. And I feel like this new direction Trippie Redd's going in with NDA is going to be a classic album, and honestly might be his best album since Trip at Night, which my boy Paul Frosty will talk about more later in this video when his part comes up. But yeah, I personally fuck with all of Trippie Redd's albums and projects, but I feel like his last like perfect, like solid, like 10 out of 10 album was Trip at Night. Although his albums since then, like, you know, Mansion Music, A Love Letter to You 5, and like, you know, John Your Sad Boy, and like, you know, Saint Michael, you know, those are pretty good albums, but like his last like perfect, like no misses album was Trip at Night, and I believe NDA can honestly maybe top that, hopefully. Here's my boy AmChann for his view on Trip at Night and the influence it had on the underground rap scene. Here he is.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It is AmChann. Basically, Trip at Night is one of the most polarizing and, in my opinion, the best album of 2021 overall. This being the album that actually dropped right after the Rage sound was booming, especially because Whole Lotta Red was already, you know, booming and starting to grow on fans after it got absolutely fucking bashed on, especially with Cardi and Trippie teaming up for Mr. Rage as well. But yeah, man, this album did have 20 songs and was something like, you know, different that Trippie has ever done, bro. Because yo, I feel like freaking Trippie doesn't get enough credit on how versatile bro is, because yo, and before this album he was dropping straight love albums and obviously dropped exclamation mark and Pegasus, right? And the album itself has some of the best Trippie songs that I've ever heard. And yeah, overall it was so cool seeing Trippie rap on hyperpop and rage beats, right? It's like, bro, I feel like Trippie's overall sound fits well on so many fucking beats, like rock beats, rage beats, hyperpop, melodic shit. Like, bro, this shit actually fucking crazy. And no, I'm not glazing, bro, it is just facts. And a lot of the beats that Trippie was rapping on this album were actually produced by producers who are prominent nowadays, working with Ken, Yee, Cardi, that being guys like Starboy, Out of Town. Which, yo, speaking of Trip at Night, this album was the start to the Rage sound being birthed, obviously after Whole Lotta Red and after Mr. Rage did drop. And as Trippie was rolling out this album, a lot of other underground artists were on the rise, like SSG Kobe, Yee, Sofeo, Ken Carson, who are all hopping on rage beats. So yeah, bro, Trippie and Cardi are easily the main pioneers of this rage sound, and this rage sound from Trippie and Cardi then obviously evolved to Ken and Yee, and that kind of influenced this new underground wave with, like, you know, guys like Osama Sensei. So honestly, bro, it is cool to see how things worked out for real, and I'm super hyped to see how this underground scene does get further influence. But yeah, man, Trippie is for real a pioneer, and I'm sick of him not getting the damn credit, bro. Like, this album did age amazing for me, bro. This isn't my favorite album by Trippie overall, but it is probably in my top 5 for sure, and it has songs that I play every damn week, like Supernatural, Vibes, Demon Time, Molly Water. And also, bro, the features on this album were probably the most insane feature list that we, like, you know, ever seen ever. I don't think we'll ever see a album ever that has X and Cardi, Juice WRLD, and Ski Mask on the same fucking album, bro. This dude Trippie seriously built the goddamn SoundCloud of vendors, bro. And honestly, again, I feel like Trippie doesn't get enough credit on how much impact and how versatile bro seriously is, bro. It's like, bro, I'm sorry, Trippie is better than your favorite artist, bro. He is. I'm sorry, bro. But yeah, man, this album was the only thing that I was playing back in 2021. And yeah, bro, you just had to be there, bro. If you were a fan of Trippie during this like era, bro, it was a amazing fucking time. But hey, man, NDA soon. Once again, man, thank you NDC for inviting me on this video, man. Shout out to my Australian goat, man. And back to NDC.
Like I said in the beginning of the video, I definitely agree with AmChann here that, you know, Trippie Redd was like the main influence of the rage underground rap scene, which I feel like he deserves more love and respect for sure. But going going to call Frosty's view of Tripper 9, how the album has aged since then, and the direction for Trippie Redd's future music with NDA. Let's get it.
Thank you, NDC, for allowing me to be a part of this big Trippie Redd collab video. If you guys know me or my content, you guys would know that Trippie's one of my all-time favorite artists, and that Trip at Night is one of my favorite albums ever. If I had to rank it in his discography, I've always said for the longest time now, it's been my first or second favorite album, up there with Life's a Trip, but I know now that Life's a Trip is my favorite album, and Trip at Night sits at the number 2 spot. But still to this day, I have so many of these songs in rotation. It was amazing what Trippie did leading up to the release of this Rage album, that he kind of helped pioneer this sound. We had so many new artists from this lane, whether it was new Opium artists or Yeet or Sofago. They were very cool, but I always thought that Trippie was one of the best, rappers on these Rage beats, and he showcased it on this album. Songs like Molly Hearts or Finish Line or Supercell are just extremely fun, and that's what this album is one of the most fun albums ever. It brings all those emotions out of you when you play it, in your day-to-day, whether it's in the car or the shower. It just always, puts a smile on my face. The feature list was just one of a kind with some of the collab songs we had on there. The singles were literally huge hits, and the last just mega hit Trippie really had with Miss the Rage. Obviously that had Cardi on there, but he had Uzi on Holy Smokes, the other single. He finally had Drake on an album. Ski Mask went off. He had Polo and Dirk when they were kind of at their peak of mainstream numbers, and so he was really running it up at this time. I will say I think the most underrated project on Trip at Night has always been Captain Crunch to me. I think everyone went insane on their verses, and just having one like Detroit type of rap song at the end was so cool. I always see this thing with the production and the beats where people will attack Trippie and say that all these beats and all these songs sound the same on the album. But the album is intended to have all these synthy rage beats and all of that at the beginning, and by the second half, when you listen to it, the beats continue to change so it doesn't get repetitive and stale like that. I feel like Trippie is an artist where you cannot sit here and tell me that he is not versatile or that his projects all sound the same, because you're just wrong. That's just not an argument you can make with his catalog, and that's why I've always been a huge fan of him. After Trip at Night, he did take a year break, did not drop an album in 2022. That was very weird for him. He's never done that before, but the next few projects he released I think are all very overhated, but you also can't say they are on that Trip at Night level or the highest of the highs for Trippie. I think a lot of your just typical mainstream hip-hop audience and all that, your casual listeners, unfortunately have tuned out of Trippie a lot or have read a lot of negative things about him on the internet over the years, and kind of that has affected, I feel like, a lot of people's listening to Trippie. But if you go to AmChann Music, we all agree that this is too bloated, but it's not really his fault some features didn't show up. But at least you have Biggest Bird and the title track and Free Rio, and the songs that Chief Keef used to be on were insane. 1135 had a lot of singing. We all know that this track list could have been slightly better. Maybe this project could have released a little bit sooner. It probably would have been better, but in reality it's always been really good to me. Whether it's Took My Breath Away or The Hate, I'm Mad at Me, the rapping was really cool, or you can also really appreciate Take Me Away, Reality, and just those really good singing moments. Wind with the Kid Laroi, Left for Dead. I mean, there's just a lot of peak on this track list, a lot of very underrated stuff on there. St. Michael, Genre Sad Boy, smaller EPs, smaller projects. Again, those have different sounds to them, but I don't think they were intended to be Trippie's best project, anything like that. And even on the MGK collab tape, I mean, there's songs like Struggles, Beauty, where Trippie, it actually has great performances he's singing, and I know everyone's just gonna write it off. It's so funny to me how on the song Who Do I Call, another one of my favorites, it was one of my most played last year in 2024, that has a JID feature, one of the most highly regarded rappers in hip-hop. In my opinion, he's one of the most skilled right now, or one of the best out right now, and no one will even talk about that project because it's MGK and Trippie. It's just kind of funny to me. But going into NDA, I really think that Trippie has taken his time and kind of held us off a little bit with this stuff for some time now, so he can work and perfect this project through all the sound and name changes he showed us in the last over a year process of this project being made. Dropping singles like Woke Up, In the Face just get my excitement through the roof. I haven't felt those feelings that I got from listening to both of those songs back to back just all the time in my daily rotation, like 5 times a day. Honestly, I've been playing them. I haven't felt that since Trip at Night. I haven't felt that since 2021, honestly, and I really hope he comes through with NDA. I've always said he needs to be a little bit better as a writer and just not say too much out there wacky stuff that would make, you know, people not like it as much. Doing the 2-part music video was, of course, you know, a great idea. A lot of people are gonna say keep dropping snippets and everything, and I think he should, especially if they're really quality songs. We had snippets to Woke Up in the Face before, you know, those released, and those ended up being insane bangers that, you know, the quality all pulled through and all showed. So hopefully he has some insane stuff in the vault, and he should preview that. Shouldn't be scared to preview it, shouldn't be scared to drop his album, anything like that, because he's a super talented artist. His fans, like all of us on the video, are, you know, ecstatic for this album, and personally I'm gonna be more excited for the album when I see really good merch that actually, you know, fits with the album's theme. I want to see Trippy really, you know, live out his album and post his songs and be active after, you know, they release and after the album drops. A couple reels here and there won't be a bad thing, but another idea I had was it'd be cool to see Trippy do a couple really small shows, smaller venues, similar to what MGK has just done, releasing his album in the last couple weeks, performing new music for the fans, turn up with fans, playing deep cuts for them, and just having people in the room with your new album. You know, I think that could be a really good opportunity for fans to get them involved and maybe have like a free show or something kind of cheap to set up still. But whatever Trippy's doing for the album rollout for NDA, I'm there. I'm excited for it. I just think he needs to take up his promo and the amount that he's posting and continue to just up that a notch. Otherwise, I think, you know, this will be another project that the media is going to look at, and it's going to, you know, come and go, even though, you know, it could sound good. But yeah, that's kind of everything I got to say about, you know, Trip at Night, how I feel about it today, and everything I'm looking forward to, you know, for Trippy's next album, NDA. You know, appreciate NDC as well for inviting me on this video.
I forgot to actually do an outro to this video, but I appreciate you, AmChann and Call Frosty, for being a part of this video. Make sure you guys check them out. But yeah, it's crazy how it's been 4 years since Trip at Night has dropped. You know, 4 years has gone by quickly, and I'm excited for the new direction Trippy Red is going in with NDA, hopefully dropping very soon. We got the first single with Woke Up in the Face, but NDA coming very soon. Let me know if you're excited for NDA dropping very soon. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for more Trippy Red news, updates, and videos. Enjoy the rest of your day and night. Check out my channel for more rap videos. Like and subscribe for more. It's been DC. See ya.